Hi everyone, this is Dr. Sarala. Welcome to Millet Magic. The essence of Indian food is the use of a variety of spices, and getting just the right balance of the many spices used is what makes a tasty dish. Since our focus has been on making healthy food in your kitchen and minimizing buying processed food items off the shelf, our channel would be incomplete without the recipes of the many masala powders used in Indian cooking. So we present to you Millet Magic Masala Box. The first recipe in this playlist is going to be that of Sambar powder. Each household has its own traditional recipe which has been passed on from generation to generation, and here's the one which has been passed on to me from my mother. You will need about 400 grams of Dhania, 250 grams of dry red chillies. If you're keen that the sambar powder should be of a vibrant color, you could use 175 grams of the spicy variety of red chillies and 75 grams of the red chillies which impart color. You can use the red chillies along with their stalks. The red chillies need to be broken into half, and you will need to collect and separate the seeds which fall out. You'll also need 50 grams of Methi seeds, 50 grams of Jeera, 40 grams of mustard, 40 grams of black pepper, and about 8 to 10 twigs of curry leaves which are not too tender. The curry leaves need to be washed well and dried in the shade. And the final few ingredients are about 2 inches of cinnamon, 2 inches of the dried rhizome of turmeric. If you cannot get the dried rhizome of turmeric, you can use a teaspoon of turmeric powder. And lastly, a small piece of hing. Except for the curry leaves, place all these ingredients in good sunlight for about 3 to 4 hours before you proceed. Once you've got the proportion of the ingredients right, the next crucial step to make a good sambar powder is to roast the ingredients well. You can begin by roasting the methi seeds. There are a few important things to keep in mind while roasting. Point number 1. The kadai needs to be made of iron and needs to be thick. This will ensure that the ingredients being roasted do not burn, but instead get an even and slow distribution of heat, which is very essential for good roasting. Good roasting means the heat reaches the innermost of the ingredient and not just the outer layers. After 3 to 4 minutes of continuous roasting, you will see that the methi seeds are changing color towards brown and that they emit a strong aroma. At this point, transfer them onto a plate and spread out to cool. You can next proceed to roasting of the jeera. Point number 2. The flame while roasting should never be on high. Make sure that the flame is from sim to medium, and this means that patience is of essence. Jeera should also take about 3 to 4 minutes. Spread it out along with the methi seeds to cool down. Next, you can go ahead with the roasting of the mustard seeds. Point number 3. You must constantly stir and move about the ingredients while roasting. Of course, you can use a spoon to do this, but as you can see here, traditionally we have a set of cleaned and washed broomsticks set aside for this purpose. It helps to make the process of dry roasting of small ingredients by moving them about quickly. You will know that the mustard is done when they start popping and begin to turn white. Transfer to the plate, spread and allow to cool. While the first 3 ingredients were dry roasted without any oil, we will be needing little oil for the rest. Heat about 2 tablespoons of oil in the same iron kadai. Once the oil is hot, add in the hing and lightly pounded dried turmeric rhizome and also the cinnamon broken into small pieces, and then add in the black peppercorns. After another minute of roasting, add in the curry leaves. Roast well until the curry leaves become crisp. Transfer into the same plate and allow to cool down. And next roast the dhania seeds. If you're using the same kadai, you don't need to add any extra oil as the oil left on the kadai will suffice. You may need to roast the dhania seeds in 2 to 3 batches if your kadai is small. Things to keep in mind. Point number 4. Since sambar powder is usually made and stored for about 6 months to a year, you will need to be very careful and maintain the utmost hygiene while doing the process. A few drops of water falling into the ingredients can reduce the shelf life to a great extent. Traditionally, my grandmother would clean the entire kitchen and start the process of preparing sambar powder immediately after bathing. Many of these traditions which our elders followed were actually precautionary hygienic measures. The dhania seeds too take about 3 to 4 minutes to be roasted well. And the last ingredient, and probably the most difficult to be roasted, are the dry chillies. You may want to use a mask while roasting the red chillies, since it's not uncommon to develop cough and sneezing during the process. Use 2 to 3 drops of oil for roasting the red chillies. The seeds would take just about a minute to get roasted. This is the reason we separated them, since we don't want them to burn. Once the roasting is done, allow the ingredients to cool for a good 5 to 6 hours. Attempting to make a powder before the ingredients are completely cool would lead to lumps being formed and moisture being trapped. If you're making small quantities, you can use a dry grinder to blend everything together into a fine powder, or you could just take it to the closest chakki and get it powdered. Many people also add roasted chana dal and roasted urad dal while making the sambar powder. This helps to give the sambar a little body and thickness. Store the sambar powder in an airtight jar and you can use it for over 6 months. So now you're all set to make onion sambar to go with millet idlis or any vegetable sambar to go with hot millet rice. You'll find the link to few recipes in which we have used this sambar powder in the description box below. We'll be back soon with a healthy and tasty millet recipe. Until then, happy cooking!